All right. So, Courtney, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Jessa, so much for having me.
I would love to start with a little bit of your story and why you have passion for this topic around couples and
Yeah.
desire and connection. Like, what's the motivation that this is what you do?
Well, a huge part of it was my own personal journey because I was teaching for many years, teaching adults, how to be happy, discover your life purpose. Behind the scenes, I was having my own struggles sexually
Mm,
as a high desire partner. And I was also having my own almost like this sexual empowerment awakening. And what I was so fascinated by was that the times in my life when I was happier sexually, it translated to more happiness and confidence in my everyday life.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So at some point, I just realized I have to teach this. I have to actually make this a part of what I share with others because I really feel like sex, especially really great sex, is this missing secret to a happy life. It's so
Hmm.
much more important, than
Yeah.
we've been taught. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But a lot of people struggle with this.
yeah,
And I think partly just from my own work, and I can hear people's voices in my head, but I think
yeah.
people sometimes hear that, great sex is this missing ingredient. And I think the people that are struggling with it, that can almost make them feel worse. Like, oh no, now I don't even have, like I'm
Yeah.
ill-equipped for life and stuff. But I'd love for you to talk about why it's so common for people to struggle and that it's not a diagnosis or a sentence for the rest of your life. Like this really is available to people.
It really is. And to me, it's not just about the intercourse, it's expanding the definition of sex to be about connection. And it's almost like a dance that we do with our partner. Or if we're by ourselves, a dance that we do, a dance of
Right.
passions. It's kind of like getting that, I would almost call it the passion, the feeling of aliveness going within the body. And so, one of the biggest challenges, I think, is cultural, that we've been taught that sex is extra, that it's kind of like a luxury.
Mm,
If we don't have time for it, no worries. And so, a lot of couples save it for bedtime
right.
when they're already exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit grumpy, stressed from the day. And in order to actually feel turned on, we need energy.
Mm,
It requires some level of energy. So what I have seen is that the couples I've worked with, those who have the happiest sex lives, they make time earlier in the day. Doesn't mean they never do it at bedtime.
right. Right.
Right? It's just like whenever possible. Maybe it's a lunch break quickie. Maybe it's before dinner
Right.
love time. Maybe it's first thing in the morning. But the idea it's not even really about the time of day. It's more about making it a priority. And the other part is just really taking our time. Because especially, for a low desire partner, turn on doesn't just happen. It's not like
Right.
striking a match. And I even talk about all day foreplay, right? It's not just like, okay, let's just do some foreplay, which for most people that they think of oral sex and genital touching, and it's like
Right. Right.
that's pretty advanced level foreplay in my
Right. Right. Right.
it's like the flirtatious text message or the I'm thinking of you, honey, during the
Hmm.
day text
Yeah.
message or how can I make your day lighter? How can I support you? It's just those feelings of connection. Because like I know that you even talk about it's about connection and
Right.
pleasure, not
Right.
necessarily just about getting to the intercourse.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, and even like appreciation and there's all
Yes.
kinds of niceties and connection we can do that create that space.
Yeah.
I also talk a lot about the goal orientation that people can have about sex. Like, oh my gosh, I got to do the whole thing. And,
Yeah.
and that can feel daunting if you're not already in the mood. So a little bit more expansiveness, right? In terms of what counts is going to
Yes,
help.
and relaxation, because in order also to feel turned on, we have to be relaxed to some extent. So sometimes
Mm,
I'll even just say one of the best forms of foreplay is just rest for 20 to 30 minutes before you even attempt any kind of other foreplay, even if it's just by yourself, take a
mm,
nap, go for a walk, write down all the things that are on your mind, journal, maybe cuddle with your partner for 20 to 30 minutes. But the idea is relaxing the nervous system helps us to, feel that natural turn on
Right.
typically. But of course, there's a lot to it, of course,
Right.
as you know.
Right. All right. So besides the cultural habits, I guess, of leaving it till
Yeah.
the end of the day, or if we have any time or energy left, then, we'll have sex. Like, what
Yeah.
else leads couples to like lose that spark or struggle with desire or,
Yeah, another big thing, this is also cultural, but it's I feel like it's almost a misunderstanding of the deeper purpose of sex, or
mm,
just because we haven't been taught about it. So when we get stressed, a lot of people tend to not be in the mood. And sex is our built-in stress reliever and nervous system regulator.
mm,
And so understanding that deeper purpose, that when we actually feel like making love to our partner, that it can be so good because of the release of the feel good endorphins, and releasing oxytocin, the love hormone, and dopamine, the feel good neurotransmitter. And also for women in particular, the cervix, deep within the vaginal cavity, the cervix is connected to the vagus nerve, which calms the whole nervous system.
mm,
And so, and again, this doesn't answer the question of how do you get in the mood for it if you're not in the mood, but it's
right.
more of just the sense of, wait a minute, if we can take some of the shame away and say, it's actually really good for us, mind, body, spirit, to be making love, and to be, it's almost like a way to charge up our batteries. To see it in that way, it's almost a form of self care. And that kind of can become part of our self care routine.
Okay. And that would go into then prioritizing it, making sure you have some energy for it, like treating it that
Yeah.
way. Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And another, like, back to your question of like, well, why do couples lose desire? I think especially when a couple is struggling with this and then it becomes a point of contention, the playfulness goes away.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like it just becomes a chore, or someone's frustrated. One partner feels pressured, the other one feels rejected, the one feels too much, or feels like they're too much,
Right.
the
Right.
other one
Right.
feels like they're not enough. So, one tool that I found really helpful is to write our desires down on pieces of paper. And I'm going to describe this for those listening to the podcast.
Right. Right. Right.
But I have recommend getting small pieces of paper in two different colors.
Okay.
So one color for one partner. So for example, yellow, turquoise for another partner. You can cut them in squares or hearts.
Right.
And you write down almost like things that you desire. It could be a small fantasy or a thing you wish your partner would do. Write it down on the piece of paper in your color. Each partner gets a color. Fold it up, and then place it into some kind of cool box or a vase. And then when you're about to be intimate, you just draw one piece of paper and you don't know what you're going to draw. And it can say something like, stare deeply into my eyes, hold me, I want to feel safe.
Right. Right.
Just
Right.
a request. The reason this works so well is it avoids those awkward conversations, and it absolutely works around the, oh, I'm so disappointed that you don't do this. I wish you would just do that.
Right.
It
Right.
just keeps it playful and light. And it's a great way to express your desires through writing, like something like kiss my neck, just simple things. And it can certainly get into edgier fantasies too, depending on the couple.
Right.
Small requests, usually made in a very lighthearted way. That's what almost it keeps the heart open rather than the defensiveness and shutting down.
Yeah. And again, I don't know why this is like in my brain so much today, but I'm picturing
Uh-huh.
lower desire partners who are not in the mood and they pull something out and it's kind of
Yeah.
edgy for their partner and they're not there yet, right?
Yes.
I do believe people have to be able to, I mean, they need to be able to say no for certain, but they also need to be like,
Yeah.
wait, I can't start with that. I mean, the goal is to keep this playful and light and
Yeah.
engaging, right? Not yet another thing I have to do when I don't feel like doing it.
Absolutely. So exactly. So it's in any ways to keep it almost like a playful game. Like, oh, okay, you want some, let's just say, some anal sex right now. Well, I'm not really up for that today. I'm really grateful that you expressed that desire.
Mm,
Is there anything else that we could do that would be, that would fulfill a desire? It could be, what if I squeeze your booty? Would
right.
that be a good happy medium for today? Like, so yeah, it's again, I love that you're bringing that up because it's not meant to bring any kind of pressure.
Right.
It's just kind of a way to express and then, yeah, kind of like, I don't want to say renegotiate, but also we have to honor our own limits.
Yeah, exactly. I always use the
Yeah.
word collaborate rather than like compromise or negotiate, but it is a
Yeah.
you're co-constructing something that you both can be excited about, which I do think is what both people want. You know, a higher desire partner does not just want their partner going through the motions and doing this because they have to. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's so true. And another thing that I have found really helpful with couples is I just call them pleasure dates. It's not a very fancy name, but to have an intention going into an experience. For one, it helps us get out of the routine and get out of the pressure. So, for example, let's say a pleasure date, the intention is joy. Let's say the couple has been really stressed lately and they just want to have some fun or be joyful. So you decide ahead of time, we're going to have a pleasure date about joy. And then you get creative of what could that look like? And it might be, oh gosh, what if we start with dancing to a dance song for 5 minutes? And think of non-sexual things
Mm,
that to me it's kind of like everything is part of lovemaking, all the
right, right, right.
non-sexual things, right? So maybe you dance, maybe you talk through a happy moment from the past and just get back into that joyful feeling, then bring that joy into maybe kissing, maybe a little massage, but the pressure off the intercourse,
Right.
but then just really focusing on that intention. So it could be one partner, for example, really has been giving a lot and just wants to practice receiving. So you can design a whole pleasure date around just receiving, just laying there. And the partner can even say, how I'd like to receive is I'd like you to massage my arms. I'd like you to dance for me or something like this.
Yeah.
But I find, especially for low desire partners, but high desire too, but it's like these pleasure dates take the pressure off, and then
Mm,
both partners kind of know what's going to happen. And then, of course, they can be in the moment and be spontaneous in the moment as well. But it's like when we add the intention, take the pressure off, it just opens up this whole new realm to take lovemaking back to love. It's a
yeah.
dance of love and
Right.
connection.
So you keep mentioning pleasure. I mean, sorry,
Uh-huh.
you do keep measuring pleasure, but I was going to ask about pressure. Could you
Oh,
speak a
yeah.
little bit to the role of pressure and how much that gets in the way of desire for at least
Oh,
one
my.
person, right?
Yeah. It gets in the way so much, especially what I see is for many low desire partners, the pressure makes them feel like something is being almost like extracted from them. Like they
Mm,
have to do something or else there's some kind of consequence.
yeah.
Or, maybe the high desire partner is going to have a big feeling about it, right? And so that's where going back to that spirit of giving is so helpful too, for the higher desire partner to focus on how can I give to my lower desire partner, like what would be nourishing for them, not like what can I get from them because I want to rush to the intercourse and I want
Right,
the
right.
orgasm. It's just like focusing on what is nourishing to them, because as I know that you shared this as well, like we're each different, right? We're not cookie cutter beings. so
Right.
so even asking the low desire partner, what would nourish you today? And is there any kind of experience you're craving? Or do you just want to sit on opposite ends of the couch today? Do you want to hold hands and go for a walk? Do you want to, any kind of touch that you're craving? Yeah.
What do you suggest for people, or how do you talk to people when I'm just thinking, so often the higher desire person feels rejected, feels unloved or unimportant, and then it can
Yeah.
start a whole cycle of negativity, which can generate pressure, right? I mean, it feels miserable, but it also can be taken as pressure on their partner. Like, what do
Yeah.
they need to do with some of those thoughts and feelings to show up in a playful way and to not put pressure on their partner?
Yeah, I would say self-soothing is one of the most important things. And just as simple as placing one hand on the heart and maybe one hand over the belly, or even one hand over the genital area, just like a grounding physical presence practice. So, and then telling themselves, I am okay. Just that simple. I'm okay. I'm having a big feeling right now of rejection or feeling unloved, and I can move through this feeling. And then even reassuring themselves, my partner loves me. Like my partner wants to connect with me. Because a lot of times those big feelings that we have, they're from childhood. They're something
Yeah.
that came up, right? And so I think that's so important to recognize there's two things going on. There's what's happening in the moment with the partner, and there's this big feeling that probably has echoes from the past. And it's not our partner's job to tend to or fix those feelings from the past. It's just one of those things that we've just got to be with our own body. And the other thing that the couple can potentially do, if the low desire partner's up for it, just any kind of connecting practice. It could be cuddling, it could be, the low desire partner holds the higher desire partner while the higher desire partner enjoys some self pleasure. Just so many possibilities. But I think that's important too, is it doesn't have to just be completely we're not touching each other
Right, right,
or like we're going for it all the way. There's all
right.
kinds of creative ways in between that can meet both partners' needs.
Yeah, and which really is it's instrumental in taking the pressure off. When you were talking about how there's two things going on, there's right now and there's a past. I think there's
Yeah.
also the future. I think a lot of times people are caught into we're never going to have sex again. It's never going to change. The rest of my life is, it's like we're so
Yeah.
often in the extrapolating into the future and or triggered by the past stuff, and
Yeah.
it's not that often where we're just reacting with what's happening right now.
It's so true. Yep, that's brilliant. I know even for myself as a high desire partner, if my partner, if he's not in the mood, and then I literally will sometimes ask, like, maybe we could try tomorrow, knowing that it's a try,
Right.
with no guarantees. But I can't tell you how soothing that is to me when he's like, yeah, let's make time tomorrow.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
my whole being just calms down, like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's like so simple.
Yeah. So if couples are struggling with this, if the desire discrepancy has crept in, they've kind of lost the
Hmm.
spark, they're struggling with this, they're not just being playful and light. Like
Yeah.
how do you suggest they talk about it, or the person that's listening should just plan a pleasure date, or you know,
Yeah, really good question. If talking about it is possible, that can be really good, and always from a place of as much as possible connection. So just saying, I miss you. I miss feeling close to you. I'm wondering, are you missing me too? Is it possible we can explore how to create more quality time together? And just really asking what's coming up for you around our sex life. Are you feeling pressured? Are you feeling rejected? And so on. So talking about it is really wonderful. But the most important thing is I call it our treasure map, is looking at what each person actually wants sexually because it can be so unique and different.
mm,
And I think of the treasure map as there's three parts. There's the what I call all day foreplay, but it's kind of like what are we doing all day long to
hmm
maintain connection and love? Then there's the actual warm up or kind of getting in the mood. Then there's the actual, okay, now we are in the mood and we are making love. And so you can go break it down each of those stages, what lights each partner up, like what turns them on,
hmm
and what turns them off, and really digging deep with it. So this is great to write down. I'm a big fan of not just talking about it, but literally grab a piece of paper and a pen.
Right,
So
right.
simple. And just be like, what turns me on? What turns me off? Make a list of, three things for each. What
Hmm.
turns you on, what turns you off. Share it with your partner. Ask them to do the same. And you'll probably find, especially for couples who've been struggling, there's a few things that are just off. They're just mismatched. It seems like they're mismatched.
Okay.
And so, for example, there's a couple that I worked with, and the gentleman absolutely wanted more sex. And his female partner, who had just become a mother of some young kids, she was just, of course, feeling very taxed from being a mother.
Hmm.
But also, she really wanted him to massage her feet and play with her hair when they watched TV.
Ah,
Just like really, really simple, but that helped her to feel connected, start feeling in the mood, and then they started making love again after a long period of not doing it. So sometimes it's just those little tiny things where
mm,
someone's craving something, but then, we have to go back to it has to feel safe enough
right.
to communicate this is something I'm craving.
Well, yeah, and it strikes me, I mean, this is something I talk about a lot, is a lot of couples will stop having almost any physical affection at all. Because if sex is like all or nothing, they're so afraid of starting something that what if I don't want to finish it, right? So for a
Yeah,
lot of, don't you see this? A lot of couples have stopped rubbing feet or touching hair or kissing or cuddling or anything.
completely.
So it's like all or nothing, which is only increasing the pressure. And then somebody's not getting the
Yeah.
things that would
It's
help them.
absolutely, because all of the touch, I just feel like as a blanket statement, as a society, I feel like we're touch starved. I mean, some
Hmm.
people, of course, getting it more than others, but it's just like that's a huge part of love, a relationship. Also, I feel like it's a huge part of sex. It's just holding hands, kissing without it having to lead all the way to sex. And so, yeah, you're spot on. It's just that I see that all the time. It's just like they just stop doing all of it, and then that's when resentment starts building up. That's when things start feeling not so great. And also,
Right.
even just physiologically, if we're having touch, cuddling, holding hands, kissing, that also helps with our oxytocin. And then there's even a study, I just love this study from Florida State University. They studied 400 newlyweds and found, but this way we're studying sex or intercourse in this case, but they found that for 48 hours after sex that couples had elevated levels of oxytocin, the love hormone, and dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. So they felt more love toward each other. They had more
Mm.
positive feelings toward each other for 2 days after. Let's say, if intercourse isn't quite on the table, well, even cuddling can still boost that oxytocin, you know, quite a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I don't know that study, but if they're studying newlyweds, that makes me imagine that there are people who want to be sexual who are enjoying that sex, and so they get that benefit. Because it doesn't seem like it might be different if somebody goes through the motions of sex and has it out of obligation and
Oh,
kind of lays
yes.
there till it's over. I mean, that's not going to
Yes.
result in 48 hours of good hormones, right? Like part of this is
True.
putting ourselves, speaking up about what we need and putting ourselves in a place where it really could be fulfilling and pleasurable so that we could get the benefit of that, right?
That's exactly it. And this is where I just feel like this whole one-dimensional look at what sex is, that we've been fed, especially I think from movies where the couple
Yeah,
just makes out and they're having intercourse within moments,
right,
completely unrealistic. If we really take our time with it and each person really tune into what would be a fulfilling sexual experience for me, then the thing is we can each be fulfilled. It's just not going to look the same for any two people.
right,
I love that you said that because what you're even bringing back what you said about the future, it's possible for everyone to feel fulfilled sexually. It might just look very different from what they think it should look like.
right, right.
And it's so much about the feeling of it. Because just like you said, if one partner's just laying there, I spoke with a woman who basically said she's so disconnected from her partner. She just kind of checks out or almost
Hmm.
meditates.
Yeah,
And that's, of course, I can't imagine that that's what he would prefer.
right, right.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in your experience, like what separates the couples who can navigate this and reconnect and thrive again versus those who don't?
Oh, I think it's just so simple is the willingness to lean in.
Mm,
I mean, of course, there's more nuances, but if a couple is willing to both lean in and to both believe that it can improve and that they want to, then it's just it can happen. It's
yeah,
almost like because this it just goes back to having an open heart and saying, I love this person, I want to connect with them. And especially when a couple hasn't been touching, hardly any physical touch or sex for a long time, they start feeling like they don't even like each other
yeah,
sometimes, right?
yeah,
And so going back to the simplicity of, I like my partner. I want to be with my partner. I don't have to, but I want to. And one practice that's really, really simple, but it can help so much is once a week, each partner shares with their partner three things they appreciate about their partner.
mm,
And I like to choose a day of the week, like maybe Sunday or a day that maybe there's less to do. And it could be something like, I'm so grateful you took the kids to school for me, or I'm so grateful you're so creative, or you had that great idea at work. Just it could be anything, but
right, right.
three signs of appreciation. And that also can help build those feelings of, I like you, I love you, I want to be
Yeah.
around you.
I must be more demanding than you are because when I ask people to do that, I say three a
Okay.
day. Not like they have to talk
Oh,
it, but
uh-huh.
what'll happen is we see what we look for. So if we're looking for things to appreciate, we will find those
Yeah.
things. And like, I'd rather people do that every single
I
day.
love that.
But, they don't
Yeah.
have to necessarily share it because I think just recognizing it and feeling the appreciation will go a long way. But of course, hearing it is
Yeah.
nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about where people can find you or tell people where they can find you. Do you have a website? What do you have available that you might want to
Yes.
mention?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's CourtneyFayLong.com. And on my website, you can watch my TEDx talk. It's called Money and Sex, The Surprising Connection. So it's super fun and goes into the science behind this inner technology that we have, that our sexual fire can improve our happiness and confidence and wealth. So it's pretty interesting. And so you can watch the TEDx talk. And then I also have a link on my website to have a free sex life breakthrough session.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful. And I love your work. I love your messages. So thank you just so much, Jessa, for everything that you do.
You are welcome.